How's it going, everybody? Welcome to tonight's show. Looks like we got Bent Wookie. How are you doing this evening?
And Wookie's doing good. Of course, that's a reference for the Simpsons fans out there. It's a little Ralph Wiggum. I bent my Wookie. That was my first email name. One of my first time it was bentwookie at AOL.com when I was like around 18, just starting college. So like all of and I would always put the subject as pudding because it was just fun to see re-pudding. And you're talking about serious stuff, and it's like we're re-pudding, and because my response was, well, everybody likes pudding. So how are you guys doing?
Good.
John, how are you? How's the day treating you?
Good. I was gonna say I laughed at that just because it's as an inside joke between me and Chris. We used to call our sister Wookie all the time.
Still do.
Yeah. Wookie theme.
So she's got some body hair issues. I'm assuming.
I don't think we should talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, it's your sister. Good. Yeah. Keep it classy.
Hey, I'm doing pretty good this evening. It was a long week, so I'm happy that we are here. I love this show. And this week we have some more debate going on. Last week's episode went over pretty well with the automation talk. So hopefully this one will breed more of the same. First off, I want to bring up a story, though, that involves 3D printing and automation, which we talked about last week. They seem to tie very well together, and so we'll get right on into that.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Go ahead, hit me with the latest 3D printing news.
So Adidas is actually releasing a new shoe design that is made from a 3D printed sole. So the bottom part is 3D printed, and the upper of the shoe is made by woven threads that are being woven by a robot.
Now the picture.
So
sorry, Chris.
Oh no, it's kind of a mashup between a 3D print and a robotic woven, sewn, basically a whole bunch of layers of thread that they run back and forth to make the upper of the shoe. And it's pretty interesting. It looks more like an art piece than it does a shoe, but I assume it's going to be functional.
Yeah, I was just going to add the video is obviously not related. I just figured during our 3D printed talk we could have, a picture of an actual or video of an actual 3D printer going. But yes, I did see those shoes, and I'm going to see if I can't pull them up while we keep talking about them here.
Well, yeah, and I saw you could conform it like it was like to fit each foot, so it's like kind of perfectly whatever your arch is or something. And to me, it's just like, and it takes about 30 minutes to design the perfect running shoe. And after 2 months, it's just they're going to end up in the closet. You know what I mean? Because nobody likes to jog.
Well, and I was looking at the 3D print, John. The sole is like a spongier looking material, so I'm assuming they're using like a TPU for that.
Yeah, I would assume they're using a TPU as well. I think they even said, or it was something similar to a TPU.
And TPU is a flexible 3D filament that allows you more cushion and squish, and usually bends back to its original form. Once you've squished it, it kind of pops right back.
Well, I just think it's funny that they're making shoes that it ends in PU. So
I actually had this preloaded, but on the screen now, yeah, this is TPU, and it's very flexible. And this is I managed to print this today, unrelated to the shoe story.
But it actually seems like the shoe would using that material would actually be fairly comfortable, right? Because you're going to be getting that nice pushback from the filament, and the spongy look of the shoe actually makes it seem like it might be a comfortable run.
Yeah, it's especially if it was engineered to your foot.
Well, and John, do you know this? Because maybe this is I grew up in Arizona, so what I think is how much if this is a shoe and I want to go run in the summertime on asphalt, like do you know? I mean, is there any possibility of this like almost re-melting if it gets around 120 or 140
Fahrenheit? I don't think
Yeah.
it would, because the TPU itself prints at 230 degrees C, which is what, close to 500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you think it then should be good. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that you could melt that shoe. Certainly, I'm just guessing you're not the fastest runner in the world, so there's a good chance
Hey,
that
I
you're
take
not.
umbrage with that. You haven't. I until the fourth grade. I was the fastest person, and I was the fastest guy. And then some gunslinger beat me, and it was all downhill after that. After I wasn't the fastest kid anymore, I was just despondent.
So the cool part is they say that an hour and 30 minutes is all you need to be able to make this shoe once you get it 3D printed and the robots do the weaving. And they're actually trying to make that production time go down even more to where they might be printing a custom pair of shoes made all by robots within an hour. That's insane.
Yeah, that would be quite remarkable, to say the least.
You think the robots would still take smoke breaks just because they have a strong enough union?
Well, that's actually one of the questions that I was going to bring up because of what we talked about last week. It does kind of start to seem like the robots might be taking all of our jobs based off of that.
Not all of them, but I think that's something that we could potentially discuss later, because I've had a few ideas on that. But since we're talking...
Well, yeah, did you see the clip about the radiology robot? Just a heads up. I mean, that's, we're talking about delivery robots, and that was kind of a new thing. Did Chris send you that clip?
I don't know if I got that.
Oh.
Yeah, Kirk sent over a clip. They're actually... they are trying to make robots that can take over radiologists' jobs.
Radiologists. Yes.
Yes.
I've known about that. They're trying to teach AI to read images and pick out disease processes that are identifiable. And I think it was running like a ridiculously high positive rate of catches versus radiologists. Now, in the interim, and what they're trying to sell it as is more of a backup tool to the radiologist to make sure they don't miss anything. Because
a second opinion.
Yeah.
Like the doctor would be the first, and then they would run it by the robot to see if he concurs.
Yes. Because on average, and I'm just kind of guessing based on flow that I've seen, a radiologist will read probably a couple hundred images a day, if not more. And yeah, so the chance of, if you're looking at the same thing over and over and over again, especially for 8 hours, the chance of you missing something small or something, I've seen it happen.
Well, and I actually, it's weird. I'm reading the Malcolm Gladwell book, and there's an article, and he's talking about just basically the percentage of it's almost kind of a crapshoot. Like it's hard to like that's a very difficult field, just the minute looking at the film, and like that's a difference between metastasizing or calcium, and so just the fact that it's such a low percentage to try to figure out. It seems like the robots and the computers would seem more I don't know, consistent or accurate in kind of a wonky field.
Yeah, sorry. So it's definitely something that could improve general outcome of patients, because I mean, just like anyone, radiologist is human and they're going to inevitably miss stuff. That's why radiologists have some of the higher malpractice insurance, just because of um, the possibility that missing something could be very detrimental.
And that's what he's saying. Just and the thought of, well, if you get regular checkups, then everything should be a-okay. But it's like, well, it's still, even with regular checkup, it's still, there's this margin of kind of, it's not exact science, but people, because it's almost like if you take your car and you get the oil change, then it's always supposed to work. I think that's kind of the attitude that people have kind of taken with this, where it's a little more difficult than that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about Chris, but I've definitely had oil changes where I drove home and then all of the oil that was just changed ended up in the driveway.
Yes, that happened to me.
But
yeah, maybe robots changing the oil in the cars might be a better solution. I don't know if they're going to get it right away, but user error in that respect is very detrimental to the car.
Yes.
Right, and I think it just has to be like boredom, just the repetition, and just not paying attention or something. And that's a human being with a brain can get bored, but the robot is not supposed to.
Yeah. Well, and they should be programmed to do the same exact thing every single time based on certain situations.
Well, and that goes for these shoes as well, right? Like these robots are being used to thread these weaves back and forth, over and over and over again. And theoretically, they should be able to produce that same effect every single time they do it, because they're just working on a plan.
Well, and it's if you look at it, it's just I would assume it's just a really scaled down version of like a car factory. Because a car factory, I mean, you hear that they can build a car in a couple hours, and you think, well, that's not possible until you look, and as the car goes down, it's just robots coming in, doing a precise movement, pulling away, and the car moves down to the next one, and another set of robots comes in and does a precise movement and keeps on going like that.
Right, and so your
3D printer, by the way, it looks like Darth Vader, DJ Darth Vader. Can I say that? It looks like it's okay. Sorry, just say okay. Back to what we were talking about.
I'm going to point this out too, just because it is brand new. That is the Prusa Mark III that just came in this week.
Mark
and
III
I know
S+.
Mark III S+.
To be pedantic about it.
for the douches in the crowd.
AKA the good one.
So
some would argue.
that did come in this week, and I know John was excited about it. And so I figured I would just throw that out on the podcast. It
kind of looks like
fun.
Luke, I will print your father.
Come on.
So this was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. And I won't name names, but a certain delivery company managed to deliver it to the wrong place and then gave me a runaround for 2 days and actually managed to recover it and bring it to me. So I am very happy it is now working.
And I bet if it was a robot, it would have happened twice.
the robot would have lost your package much more efficiently.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Kirk, let's go ahead and jump on into your corner because I'm kind of curious to see what John's done with it this week. And I want to.
Oh, he's calling his
not.
shot. Oh, this is impressive. It'd be so funny if it was just like a stick figure drawing. I'm like, what? That's...
And here we are into Kirk's corner. Kirk, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome to Kirk's corner, and it looks like still we don't have a glass of water. There's not a glass of water. It's all I wanted. Glass of water and table, and it looks like it's a is it a piece of pizza? What is that?
Yep.
Is that right? Pizza?
It's
all
the
right.
piece of pizza I 3D printed.
And okay, the one you printed from last week. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And then I still like the Eggo. Still, that's my just the championship Eggo still kills me every time. What? Awesome. Well done again.
I think
this week I thought I've been doing more jokes. What's up?
I believe you missed the new edition this week.
What did I? What? Okay, let me know what I missed. It's like a highlights magazine. I guess I missed one.
Look up.
The light. Is that a light or a bug zapper? It's an enema bag. What is it?
I said it may be Spud related.
Oh, that's me, the potato. Me changing getting the broken light bulb out of the. Wow. It's so I talk about stuff and then I forget about it and then I have to then remember via John's drawings. Well done. Nice detail work. I'm almost wondering what's going to end up. You know what? Tune in next week to see what's added to Kirk's Corner. It's going to be pretty full pretty soon. It's going to be a pack rat situation. Hoarders. Well, thank you for that. Like I said, a little different corner, Kirk's Corner. Let's do something. I was a stand-up comic for about 15 years. I ran a show. I performed. So a lot of people under the pandemic, they kind of they were bored and they want to do stuff. So if you've ever thought about trying stand-up, a lot of people ask me, how do you do that? So I thought I'd just kind of give you a little brief version of kind of here's what you do. There's three ways. If you've ever thought about doing stand-up, there's open mics at bars and coffee houses, place like that. Then you can go to find your local comedy club. They usually have a night where they'll let up new people. And then there's comedy workshops and classes. Those are the three really the main ways. And I'll talk a lot about all of them, but I was going to focus on open mics because that's the easiest way. That's the quickest way. Essentially just Google, go to your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, just local comedy night in your area, find it. The magazine that has the advertisements for the head shops, the newspaper, if you want to go old school, just look in there and find comedy night. Find one, pick it out, call before you go, because a lot of times they leave the ads up and the show is not there. So just save yourself some trouble. Just call and go, hey, do you guys still doing that show? If they are, awesome. Just show up, watch the show, talk to the bartender, find out who runs the show. Just say, hey, just introduce yourself. Little tip, the person running the show, they're busy, they're working. So just say, hey, let them do their work and then talk to them after the show and just enjoy the show. Watch the show, see if you want to be a part of that. If it's a horrible show, you don't want to go there. But if you watch and enjoy and you're a good audience member, you have a better appreciation for the show, and then you want to go on it. And then just talk to the person afterwards and go, hey, how do I get on? And then that's how you do it. And then once you do that, just hang around after the show, talk to the comics, find out where other good shows are. They can kind of recommend, hey, if you're a newbie, this is a nice show, this is a good show. We recommend that. So it's just be pleasant, be nice, enjoy the show, support the show, tip the wait staff. It's every bar show you go to the whole point is to make money. So if the bartender isn't making money, she ain't happy, they ain't happy. So the show is better when the bartender's happy and then she can talk up the show. So it's not all about you. Support the show and then go enjoy the show and give it a chance. So that's just the bare basics. That's how you do an open mic. Did any questions from you guys? Does that make sense?
If I wasn't so unfunny, I would probably take you up on that advice.
Well, if you've ever thought about doing it, you should try it once. I'll just say that. If you've never it's not for everybody, not knocking it, but yeah, if you give it a shot once, because you'll know it's a good feeling, or when it doesn't go well, it's not a good one, but it's at least you can say you did it.
See, I'm one of those people that can, if I'm lucky, I come up with a fast enough clip or response like once every 4 or 5 months, if I'm lucky.
That's not good.
And also to the people, like I'm funny around my friends or blah blah blah. Like it's like, well, if you're saying Will Ferrell quotes to your friends at a house party, kind of have it's different. You know what I mean? Like you got to have some jokes. Like you do have to. It's just like with music, chords. You got to know your chord. Like you got to have a couple punchlines. It can't. Like Joe Rogan, Patton Oswalt, they can go 2 minutes without a laugh because they've earned your trust. They're going someplace. If you are new, they don't know who you are. So if you go 30 seconds without getting a laugh up front, they're going to stop listening. So just up front, a quick joke. Joke.
So Kirk, I was going to ask you, the one question I did have was, do you have any comedy that any of our listeners can check out if they do choose on their own time?
Well, on Twitter, I'm posting new jokes all the time. I'm on Facebook too. I think you can find it through that. I have a couple of clips on YouTube, and I have CDs and DVDs, but nobody has CD or DVD players anymore. So. Actually, one of my we recorded a bunch of old shows. There's a place called the Hidden House that I used to run around 2010. So it's been a while, but they were fun shows. It was like a little 50-seat room. So it was. I guess I'm having a tech person like John try to go through the archives and find that as we speak. So fingers crossed. I'll have more information about it. And it's a bar, it's it's for adults, so it's not for everybody. So if you like that, then you can go find it. How about that?
Yeah. Chris, that sounds like a great thing to tweet out for Mr. Kirk Buckout.
I will do that. Not right now, but Kirk, thank you so much for all that information. I have been thinking about maybe writing up a few bits and trying some open mics, so maybe I'll hook up with you and we can maybe. Yeah,
I love getting up brand new people up, and like if anybody listening, if they have questions, even like say it's not as a career, but just like, hey, how do you do this, or like that would be fun. I like talking about it, and it's fun to give people like I said, you said you can do that. You did, you thought about doing it, you tried it, and now you can stop thinking about it. You know what it is.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll close out on Kirk's Corner for the week. And mostly not to cut you off, Kirk, but I am super excited to jump into our debate topic of the week, which is aliens. This week we're going to be...
And this is not about the movie. This is not about Sigourney Weaver, right?
Not at all. Well, I mean...
Maybe.
Maybe.
She may come up.
Aliens is always an interesting topic for most people. Everybody has their own opinion on aliens, conspiracies. Do they exist? Don't they exist? What do they look like? Are they green men with big heads and huge eyes? Who knows? But
as somebody with a big head, I'm offended by that. I'm outraged.
I wish I were sorry.
I'm offended, good sir. Okay.
So, John, I want to start this off, and I'm going to throw this in your court. Do aliens exist?
I absolutely believe so.
Okay, that's a very...
That ends that. All right. Now you're... No, come on. Explain yourself, good sir.
Well, I mean, just in just from what we have, or the information we've already gathered, they've determined that there is probably life on Venus. There's liquid water on some of the moons around, it's Jupiter or Saturn. I'm drawing a blank. But just from that, just in our limited sphere of influence, which is the solar system, the fact that we have potentially discovered life on multiple planets that we thought could not support life, one could invariably assume that out of the billions and billions of stars and planets that are out there, at least, even if the rates were ridiculously low, there would still be millions and millions of alien or civilizations out there. Could they be dead and long gone? Could they be
So
more...
your argument is just it's a number. It's a numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
Basically, your argument, it's a numbers game. It's a big giant thing. There's got to be something out there. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of jump back and forth. I mean, looking at a story that had just come up, they said that the ISS has found new bacteria on it that they haven't seen before, which could theoretically represent some sort of alien life. And, you know, sometimes I think it's with all the galaxies and the vastness of the universe that, you know, it seems a little bit trite to think that we are all alone as a race. But then on the other side, I'm like, how do we know? We've been searching, we've been doing all this stuff for such a long time. Well, theoretically, not that long, but we have not had any contact or like visible contact with anybody or anything. So are we just that primitive, or are we way more advanced than anything that may be out there?
It's probably a little bit of mixed.
no, I have heard the argument that yeah, they look at us as dummies because we don't. They're still fighting each other. Oh, they haven't moved on to, I don't know, teleporting yet. Idiots.
Well, and so I was going to say Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice isn't closest. Alpha Centauri, that's still about 5 light years away, meaning that any signal we send would take 5 years to get there, 5 years to get back. And that's our closest neighbor. And
7 years if it was Verizon.
But just the vast majority, like I don't remember off the top of my head, but the next closest are 10 years or 10 light years, or and it's I want to say, I can't remember how big the galaxy is itself, but I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. It's not working. So the Milky Way galaxy is 52,000 light years across, which means that, the vast majority of the Milky Way, we are seeing from 100, 200, 300 plus years away. Like the farthest edge is probably 30,000 years in Earth's path that we're currently viewing it at. So if there was a civilization over there and they sent something out, they would have had to have done it 30,000 years ago. Same with even, civilizations that are 100 or 200 light years away. If they, if we sent out something and it reached them, it would take the exact same amount of time to get back. And since we haven't been creating radio waves all that long, I mean, I think Kirk might be able to help me out better with this, but I mean, most of our radio waves have been within the last 100 years. And so our expanse right now is about 100 light years. Not to mention that 100 light years on the very edge of our, I guess you could call it, wave of radio signals, those are going to be very weak and way less powerful than the ones that we've done in the last 10 or 20. But they still are speed limited by the speed of light, So if there is someone else out there and they're, even if they were 50 light years away, they would still only be getting like Charlie Chaplin's movies.
Could we hook up the speed of light to the clapper, and then if we clap real fast, it could speed it up and then move it? I'm spitballing here. I'm not an astrophysicist by any chance.
Well, the idea of, especially looking at our logo, my thought is like a black hole. Where does that black hole go? Nobody knows. Could it go to a parallel universe or a different galaxy, or is there another group of people on the other side just looking back at it like
crush you instantaneously over thousands of years?
Could just be an Orange Julius in San Mateo, California. So, just Orange Julius.
And
all right.
See, that's another part of it is we still don't have, from my perspective, a great grasp on spatial physics, because wormholes are theoretically thought to exist. We've never seen one. I mean, it wasn't until, last year that the first actual recorded picture of a black hole came out. Up until then, it was all theoretical.
Right, and so that's kind of my point is our Earth is, thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. And
a little older
if you look
than
at, well, thousands, billions. Always correcting me.
You made the Earth blush. The bird was like, ooh, I'm that young.
I've got a wife, Kirk. I know the game. So
always guess low. Yeah.
But if you look at the amount of technological advance, we've only really been technologically advanced for less than 100 years. So the idea of our technology, maybe in the next 100 years we get to a point where we could actually communicate with other areas of the world, but it'll be it's one of those topics that nobody knows, and so you kind of get I believe, I don't believe, or who knows.
Well, and right now we're just talking about is there anything out there? And you were talking earlier about conspiracies, and it's very possible that we've already had intervention or aliens visit, and they're star tracking us essentially.
Well, and that was going to be one of my questions I asked you, was like, do you think that the government is hiding aliens in like Area 51, as everybody knows, the big conspiracy?
Possible. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we don't or can't explain that happens frequently. And there's been ancient depictions of what could be arguably described as, aliens.
And have you ever been to Red Rocks Amphitheater? That would be where the aliens would land. If you looked at the rocks, they look kind of slanty. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? That's where the aliens are just landing at Red Rocks, and then the musicians are just crazy aliens, and that's why they can play that music and we can't. Thoughts?
So, and my other big theory for this is, and this could just be related to religion, but if you look at I'm trying to remember where, but there's a lot of different examples all over the world of the art that's built into the ground that you can only see from the sky. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Stonehenge?
No, not Stonehenge.
Is that what you're talking about?
Are you talking about like crop circles?
Well, yes, but man-made ones. I want to say it's in Argentina, but I don't know if that's accurate. The big pictures in the ground that you can only see if you're flying above, that we had no idea existed until, planes were invented and we started flying and seeing these things in the ground that could only be seen from the air.
That I haven't seen.
I'm trying to think of the actual term for it.
I think it's your high. I was kidding.
If only.
Well, and the thing I have trouble with, and I kind of jump back and forth on, is I see like recently, one of the big ones that I heard about was the Tic Tac UFO that was actually, caught on radar of a fighter jet that was like able to go from 60,000 feet to sea level in a second or something like that. That's hard to refute because you have like video evidence of it basically, but in the other section I'm like skeptical. I'm like, was it just a radar malfunction? Well,
Well,
so
yeah, it could be a bunch of things, but
the other thing I don't really rely on too much is alien abductions.
no,
Because a lot of people have alien abductions, and that just doesn't seem like that doesn't seem legit.
Yeah, they're just on a drunken bender and they just make up a story. Why just go all in? What the hell? Just say it was aliens.
Boom. Here we go. They're called Nazca lines. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have Wikipedia pulled up.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen these before.
Yeah, they're
pulled up pictures of stretch marks.
Yeah.
But
they're in the ground in Nymphu was saying Mexico, but I think these are all over the world, because I know there's some in like around the UK, and yeah, they're just everywhere.
That seemed like lines. I mean, if it said like, "Hey, I'm an alien. How's it going?" Like that would, all right. You got a point there. That's just like geographical stuff. Like I don't know.
But
I'm unconvinced.
My thought is, why would they do these into the ground? A, not being able to see them, unless there was a reason for them.
What if it was just dumb luck? They were just building something, and that's the way they did it, and they had no idea. They were just
well,
wah, wah.
I mean, some of them look surprisingly like, actual things.
Well, yeah, but
it's like a horoscope. You can see what you want to see. You can, it's a Rorschach test.
As Nymphu's bringing up, they're miles long. These aren't, small little things in the ground. These are massive artworks that are just in the ground.
Yeah, but I'm still skeptical because there's a very real possibility that people could have done that. Just like a lot of the crop circles you see are people who, made them into a crop just to make it look like an alien encounter.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but a lot of these weren't discovered until people started flying.
Well, so it was just a really long play then.
But I mean, like I said at the beginning, I don't know if this, its potential, it could be, just religious based, but
the chatter on YouTube, they're talking about other stuff. They're talking about somebody's anniversary present. Anyway, sorry. What do we? Sorry.
Well,
just throwing it out there. The audience may not be riveted.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I think aliens is an interesting topic, especially if multiple people can chime in. I'm kind of a skeptic. I don't know where I stand, but I don't necessarily believe. But John, it sounds like you have a pretty good, firm grasp on the fact that aliens do exist. And Kirk, I have no idea where you stand.
It's like big. It's so far away. It's out of my area, so I don't care either way. They haven't affected me one way or the other, so I don't think about them. They don't think about me. So, like Bigfoot. Like I don't care.
Well, there you go.
I just don't recommend watching UFO videos and then driving home at midnight. it usually doesn't end well.
It's like watching a horror film, and
Yeah.
oh, there's somebody coming after you. It's somebody with a machete, but it's somebody in a spaceship. Same thing.
Well, hopefully everybody, whether or not you believe in aliens or not, hopefully that will spark some debate on your side as to whether you want to talk about aliens or you just think it's a hoax or you don't actually believe aliens are in Area 51. But
if you live with an alien, please take a picture of him, send him in. Come on. Be a good audience member.
And no pictures of Alf, please. We know.
No, he's going to eat your cat. Hey, Willie, I ate your cat.
So, John, I did see there was some SpaceX stuff going on this week.
A lot of SpaceX stuff.
What do you got to talk?
So, we'll start off easy with they've disassembled the first booster, the first super heavy booster. Was cut in half, and not the long way, which is what I thought when I heard that it was cut in half. They just started taking it apart at the sections.
So it was more of a hamburger instead of a hot dog?
Yes. SN-15 is on the pad. It was cryoproofed. Elon's thinking it's going to fly next week at some point. And then the big news is NASA awarded SpaceX the lunar landing missions. So Starship is going to potentially be what NASA uses to land back on the moon.
Oh, so they definitely got a big contract on that one. Holy cow.
Just a little bit.
I also saw that people were like booking Dragon flights to the ISS with like in a week.
As in well, I know that that's part of, and that's that whole thing with like Blue Origin and all the other ones is they want to start orbital tourism to the ISS, and SpaceX is definitely in the forefront to do it because as of right now, the only two rockets that are making trips to Soyuz or to the ISS are the Soyuz and the Dragon.
Yeah, I
They're
think
going to still lose your luggage in the process. They're going to figure out a way, right?
Well, and if it's lost on this, it's coming back a little toasty.
It's sucked up in the orbit of Neptune. It's gonna be tough to get that back. We apologize. It's been incinerated and going into orbit.
They said that they were worried about like space traffic now. It's actually going to be a thing now that people are successfully getting up to the ISS. They're worried about too many launches.
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to bring up is I watched a video and it was going over SpaceX's the design process and what they're doing in Boca Chica, Texas. And Elon wants to be able to make, I think it was 2 starships a week. Have 2 starships a week coming out of Boca Chica, which would mean that, you know, after a certain amount of time, especially if they're, you know, doing like suborbital or orbital, basically airplanes, his goal of sending, you know, 100 starships to Mars would only take a year of production to get enough to go to Mars.
Has anybody ever suggested that Elon is just a giant huckster? Because I mean, it sounds you name it Starship, and then you have a bunch of computer nerds work endlessly on it, and then at the end there's nothing. It's like a circus. Like, has anybody ever thrown that out there? Just you could be making this up.
My guess is that if anybody on the planet Earth is an alien, it might be Elon Musk.
He's a weird dude. He's an he doesn't seem, human-like would not be the first qualities I would. Hey, name 5 things human-like would not be in the top 5.
Same with Zuckerberg.
He's a weird, and that's the guy that's running your computer. Just this dead eye, just weird. Didn't go outside much, and he's in charge of the way your brain thinks now, and that's fine.
Like if anybody's seen Men in Black, those would be people who are on the screen of aliens on Earth.
Yeah, they just don't like. You look like a human. You kind of know what a human's supposed to, but there's some kind of. What are you thinking? Ones and zeros. I can tell. You've matrixed over. You're an advanced speech. You're much smarter at computers, so somehow you're a genius, I guess. But you've obsessed about this more than I have.
So I actually also had some information to run across from the Ingenuity helicopter. Last week I had said they were supposed to fly on Sunday. They got postponed. They said that they would be going for Wednesday as their next flight date. And it turned out they had to do a software update remotely to change the code or whatever they had to do to fix it. So they did.
Look, can we do some sort of contest? Like, I'm getting tired of the thing not launching. Like, if it doesn't launch like in 2 more weeks, you have to like shave your head. Can we do something like that as a way to?
I have a very long goatee now, Kirk. So if it doesn't launch within the next 2 weeks, I will shave my goatee off.
You will get rid of the goatee if it's not up until. All right, it's on. It's stated. All right, excellent, good. Then we have something vested interest in this. Puts a little skin in the game there.
Yes.
The man may lose his goatee if this thing doesn't. So you better pray, because you don't want to see more of this man's face.
So, no, thanks for that, Kirk. So anyway, the Wednesday deadline did not happen, but they were successful in getting the update to the helicopter, and they have successfully done a rotor spin-up test, and everything did just fine. So they are projecting a first flight date of Monday now. So we hopefully should be seeing a helicopter flying on Monday.
Which would be
if we don't, then the goatee goes.
Yeah.
You gave me 2 weeks.
Let's cut it down to a week. That's too far. Yeah, John, you want to weigh in this? A week? Week seems fair.
Yeah, I think a week sounds fair.
By the time the next podcast, like on the next podcast, if we don't do it, you have to shave your goatee on the podcast.
That sounds like terrible podcast to listen to, Kirk.
Hey, look, we're a low budget. Look, shut up. We got no money. We're trying to do something. We're trying to concoct some sort of something. So play along, dummy.
I tell you what, if this helicopter doesn't fly this week, I will shave my goatee and I will post on Twitter. How about that?
All right, something. Get a little. The goatee must go, or will it? Bum bum bum.
Well, I think that is the perfect time, since we're already here. How about, guys, we go a little off topic this week? Kirk, take it away.
Oh, so that's off topic. What I got this week, totally off topic. Basically, there is a Busch Beer released a dog brew. It's alcohol-free beverage that you're supposed to give to your dog. I assume they were just trying to create an alcohol-free Busch Beer and nobody would drink it. And then someone goes, let's give it to the dog, see if the dog likes it. That's my theory of how it actually happened. But it's made of bone broth. So your dog is supposed to eat it. I don't know. So that's just dog brew, and they're looking for a spokesman to a dog that will actually drink Busch.
So I saw
haven't
the
found it.
story, and they said that they're offering this as a paid position for your pooch if you send in a resume and pictures of your dog to be a official taste tester / face of this Bush Beer dog brew. Then they'll actually pay you like $20,000
Yes.
to do that.
I heard dogs are quoted as saying, "If you were truly my best friend, you wouldn't give me beer without alcohol." So that's a quote from dogs. They have a spokesperson.
Well, you have a dog. I assume you probably talked to Shoop and listened to what she had to say about it.
Yeah, she was like, "That's yeah." I mean, we've lived in Colorado for a while, so it'd have to be some weird like micro brew. And just she's gotten beer snobby.
Well, it's an interesting thought, though. You just send them a picture and throw a little resume in there, and maybe your dog will make you $20,000 to drink some bone broth beer. I mean,
Who knows? Could happen. Exactly. So
if you got a dog,
that was a little off topic.
John, what do you got this week?
I had the I sent it to you too. The Venezuelan has the biggest. I'm stalling for time, obviously, if you can't tell. No, not Venezuela. Singapore. Sorry, is now home to one of the world's largest floating solar farms. So they have put essentially a lot of solar panels on what essentially looks like a barge. I don't know if it's a dock or if it's just a barge, but it's capable of offsetting more than 4,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year.
So it's sort of instead of like the windmills, like the wind farms in the ocean, it's solar panels on barges and docks.
Yeah.
So okay.
It's really cool. I read the story that you sent, and this is just a gigantic floating solar panel, basically, and it can make a lot of energy.
Yep, 13,000 panels spread over about 7 football fields. It's expected to produce an estimated 6 million kilowatts of hours of energy per year. And I'm horrible with energy, so I don't know the equivalent.
It'll power your stereo, but it'll only play Beach Boys albums, which is fine, but it's a little weird. It's like, come on, guys, you're just because you're from the water.
I think it said that it could offset the energy usage of about 700 people.
Yeah, that seems like a little. Well, I mean, I guess it's only about 7 football fields, so if it does offset 700 people, that's still a significant amount because, I mean, the ocean is massive. What is it? 70% of the world's volume is just ocean, and if we can off-put and put some of our energy production out there, like with the wind turbines and stuff like that, that would be amazing.
And yeah, it does seem something about like when you go to the beach in the ocean, you would get sunburned and something. So it's something about the sand or the water, like it's reflective or something. It seems like a lot of solar energy seems like you get burnt at the beach.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't. Yeah, you get. I mean, the same thing happens when you go like skiing or snowboarding. The sun reflecting off the snow will.
Right, it's bouncing off the whiteness of the snow, so the sand. Not as white, but sort of in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
And something about the water, too. When you go to lakes, something you get burnt at the lakes, too, because it's something bouncing. I swear, once again, not a scientist, just my experience, usually get burnt at the lake.
Yeah, and you're absolutely all right. It's just reflecting off the water surface, and that's what increases the chances of getting burnt and all that. But, unfortunately, that really wouldn't help solar panels because they're going to be sitting on top of the water.
one of the things I saw was a hard part is actually getting the electricity from the solar panels to where it needs to go because they're dealing with water.
Well, and people have tried a long time to try and harvest energy from water because just the tides coming in and out can generate a ridiculous amount of energy. The problem is the sea and the ocean is salt water, and salt water will corrode and rust anything as fast as it can. And that's the biggest hurdle is you put steel or metal stuff out there and it eventually becomes corroded and rusted and will just disintegrate and fail long before it creates any sort of net positive.
You would lose money having to keep changing out the parts
Yes.
to deal with the corrosion.
Yes.
Well, speaking of dealing with stuff, I'm going to jump into my off-topic story because this is the most frightening thing I have seen in a long time. These people from Australia they bought packaged 2 heads of lettuce in a bag. And inside was a venomous snake. I don't like eating lettuce as it is, and now you're gonna throw snakes in there?
That's the part that look. Once you said lettuce, I was out. I was already horrified. So you can stop right there. Throw a snake in there. Oh, go to hell.
Now what's on?
There is nothing more terrifying than snakes. And then you throw them in my lettuce. No, thank you. I'm done. No more lettuce for me.
You're acting like you would actually eat lettuce to begin with.
You gotta throw bacon on it. You gotta trick yourself. There's some sort of, and then you transition to a lean turkey. It's a stepping down. You can do it. It's possible.
Hell no, not with snakes in there. Are you kidding me?
Well, okay, yes, you got a point there. Look, after the bacon, the poisonous snake, and then what was that last one? Don't worry about it.
John, I gotta ask, what in the world is that?
I completely forgot about it because I was going to bring it up during the 3D printing stuff because my daughter keeps harassing me about it. But this is a leopard gecko. And since you started talking about reptiles, I was like, hey, I could bring up a picture of a reptile since I completely forgot about it.
So that's not Gordon Gekko, the guy from Wall Street. That's not
No.
the greatest good guy. He looks like it. He looks. He has some skin. He might, maybe some.
There is some menace in those eyes.
Well, and the reason I was going to bring this up is I 3D printed that enclosure there for him.
All right, well that's pretty cool.
It looks like a beer mug. I see beer, and then the white part, it looks like a head of foam. So it looks like he's in the middle. He's like in Oktoberfest. I don't see that.
I can see it now that you pointed it out, but it seems kind of mean to the gecko.
That would be too much alcohol for a gecko. Like he's way past his limit. Do not give that gecko your keys. He's not going to drive you home safe.
But I mean, I don't know. It could be a really cool gecko, and I don't know much about geckos because I hate reptiles. Seriously, I'm never touching a head of lettuce again.
You were looking for a reason to not touch lettuce, and now you just found one.
Yeah, and see, now I can sleep better at night knowing that I'm not going to eat lettuce because there might be poisonous snakes in there.
All right. Ever again, no salad.
Well, here we are at the end of our show, and I was going to throw out there that once again, I am super excited for MLB The Show to come out this week. It does come out Tuesday next weekend. We have something very big planned. and I hope everybody will join us for that. It's
Can I
going to
say
be fun.
very big doesn't very, very big. I'm going to throw in, I don't care what anybody, I'm throwing in an extra very. And you can, you know what, listen to the show next week. And if you don't like it, I will apologize for the extra very, but I ain't gonna.
So next week we will be joining the MLB The Show, and that will be our stream with something a little special. This week we will be jumping on to a Halo stream after the show. And guys, it hasn't been very good, but no guarantees it's going to get better.
It's not going to get
better. But do join us, because we do like to see you in the chat. Kirk, me, and John will all be there. And hopefully this show has been provoking as far as aliens. Keep talking about them. Maybe they'll show up and make their presence known. John, always good to see you. Kirk, thanks for joining us.
Always. I will be here next week. Looking forward to the games, and it looks like the 3D printer is printing a waffle. Just saying.
It is very close.
That's a waffle or a bug zapper or a tennis racket, but it's odd that. Anyway.
Once it finishes, we'll put up a picture of what it actually was tomorrow on Twitter.
That's the cup, right? Is that the honeycomb cup?
No.
This one's different.
Okay.
So we will tweet it out tomorrow. Yes, it is a teaser, Kirk.
Nice.
It's got 2 hours left.
Everybody out there, thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, have a good one. But stick around for the show, for the Halo.
Do stick around for Halo.